So, second game here between Druz Lite and Ragnarok. It's Lombardia. As you can see, the players spawn very closely together, and it's always a mess finding out which cows belongs to who and what board to take and what not. It's very easy to team wall and to wall off on maps like these, and there's even a cliff here for aristocrats on this side to help out with the early team walls to complete here, so that's going to be helpful for them. Let's have a look here at the civilizations of Ragnarok here. In the middle we have aristocrats in the pocket position again. Given the placement of the TCs, it's not really that significant who is pocket or not here, but he is with the Khmer, means he will be bringing in the battle elephants potentially, or playing knights early castle age, depending on the progression of the game here. Left side is Waffles with the Mongols, good mobility in the Mangudai here, and cheap. Going for the lame here, let's see if he can succeed with that. That's going to cost some scout HP, and it's a failed lame. Karma strikes back at the lamer for cheap here, not going to get the payoff here with that extra food. I'm not surprised. No, cheap he likes to do that. Didn't succeed though, so good awareness and good block there of aristocrats. Seems risky to go for lame on Lombardia as well, both for the distance and for the fact that the scouts will usually be kept close to defend the builders anyway. So that's some early action there already. Waffles, as said with the Mongols, will likely be going into the Mangudai here. Could provide camels or knights as needed in the earlier game as well. But Mangudai definitely the way to go on an easily closed map like this. Almost do-it-yourself arena or hideout, kind of. And finally, for Flying Mouse, we have Slavs. Great siege for Slavs, but I don't think that's the reason here. They have some mobility, great economy for the boom as well. Bowyar from the castles, pretty solid unit, but maybe most of all for the late game infantry push with Drushina here with Slavs to potentially hold off good cavalry from the others. We've played Druz now 4 times and cheap heavily lamed his opponent in every single game. Ouch! Oops. Alright, so for Druzina here, Druz Lite is what I'll be calling them. In the pocket, we have had switch up. Palm, he sits out. He wants to keep his 100% win rate for his games in the League of Empires for Druz Lite, so he didn't dare to play this one. We have Rabbe now in the pocket as Franks for this one. Rabbe, confident and routined Franks player, should be providing some good support for the team here from the Franks. Is solid with the cavalry and with the booms, and with Franks castles you could also more easily secure trade routes with their cheaper castles or take map control moving onwards. To the right side we have Chief with the Vietnamese. That kind of explains the lame as well, actually, because he'd know the location, know exactly where to go to name the war, but he's probably going to play the archer's role here. Vietnamese is not the most mobile save of all, but if he goes into the Rattan Archer, he has like a Huskal with a bow and arrow he can use and move around the map rather smoothly after all, and that's going to be, could potentially be useful against Mongols Mangudai, honestly, with the Rattan Archers with the high pierce arrow and good damage output against like cavalry archers. I'd say Vietnamese are like an anti-archer archer with their extra hit points on the archery range units as well. Wall off about to complete here, so Woodline's doing the part of the work for cheap over here. Same can be said about the other side where Lite Corvo, the last player, is about to finish the left hand side here. We won't be seeing shouldn't be seeing any feudal age action here on this map. Lite Corvo, however, is with the Goths, so he wants to go into that insane late game Goths barracks spam that they can do with their team bonus of 20% faster working barracks, and in Imperial Age a unique tech stacking on top of that to give the barracks another 100% for the Goths player. So, and then what do we talk about now? Look at the team walls here. We see Ragnarok going for a more ambitious one to begin with, but in a sense I like it as well, because they're keeping this hill on their own side, so that the enemies won't be able to drop a forward castle on the hill or fall back on the hill for any extra hill damage potential when they need to fall back with their units. So the stretching further out on the Rushina, but to see Druz Lite here are sort of assuming the hill as well, not going as far out, and even have to leave out one side gold here. 2 side golds for cheap here, so they will, Druz Lite will be dependent upon early map control here, early game map control here to secure those extra golds, which in Ragnarok's case are almost all inside of their bases. Somewhat early feudal ages here for Ragnarok though. I'm wondering what the idea is here. Are they placing any military? Not really. Maybe they just go earlier feudal to get the stone walls up. Look at those beautiful pure farms though. Perks of being pure, you could farm anywhere. Double Palisades now coming up for Lite Corbo as well. He is Goths after all, so someone else will have to handle the stonewalling here if they want to really secure the side. That could be a weak point by having Goths or Cumans on Lombardia actually, because they don't get stonewalls, and that makes it easier for the enemies to break through the trade route late game and obstruct the eco of the enemy. One staple going up for Rabbe now is, I'm guessing it's the staple blacksmith past castle approach here for Rabbe. He just clicked, and we have only player not going to Castle Age just yet, it's like Corbo, who might actually be setting up for sort of a fast imp with the Goths here. Not fast, but faster than usual, and he's going for a 30 pop Castle Age here. So, same as Wapples actually with the Mongols here, so they're setting up for the boom to begin with here, feeling confident and safe behind their walls here. I'm surprised to see feudal age aggression here though from Flying Mouse, going for a couple of scouts, producing even more as well. In the sense you could argue that you get map control and get to see what's going on around the map here when you're going for scouts. See the scouting of Flying Mouse here and sees quite a lot. On the other hand, you won't be able to make any damage from that investment, because there's no way you're breaking through the walls and buildings behind the walls here of the opposing team. So in my opinion, scouts on Lombardia or early archers, if they're not Saracens, that's just a no-go. But it's only going to be 3 scouts total for Flying Mouse. Kind of hoping for there to be a hole there though, so that could be the reasoning as well. Maybe if they haven't completed the walls yet, that would be the place to hit. But as we can see, Castle Age is kicking in for most of the players here now, as but Flying Mouse falling behind here in the progression with having invested into the scouts here. Isn't that far off clicking to the Castle Age, but is still going to fall behind heavily in the boom, and we'll have to catch up later with the slabs faster farming eco here. Just now comes the market for flying mouse, and we'll be needing a second building as well. There's the blacksmith, so never mind. Blacksmith stable doesn't really need the market actually to click up. But maybe needs it to adjust the economy a little bit to get up. You see, they've spent a little bit of stone to fortify the area here as well. Very nice, looks professional. Yeah, I'm. The capture age has become open. What should we call it? Free for all now. So anyone is able to download it and use it. And finally, they made some adjustments late, so now the performance is much better as well, and it's fairly easy to follow the progression through the game, which is nice. Great free for all, yes. Castle Age now on the way for Flying Mouse as well. That's going to be a lot later than all of the others though. Lite Corvo extending into multiple Ts is now at least the second one. Rabbe with the Franks also with 2, and Chief with 2 TCs and the castle here. So let's see the other side though. Waffles with a couple of, yeah, most of the 2 or 3 TCs. We see the numbers on the sides here, actually 6 TCs total. The scouts have found kind of a weak point here, and this is going to be more of an annoyance than an actual offensive threat though. We have that Corbo with the castle up already producing on Huskarls. We'll be using them to deal with the scouts here, no problem. Let's see what's going on the other side here again. The castle is up, going straight for the Mangodai here. We'll have that range and mobility that Mangodai can provide. I'm not seeing a... oh, even a monastery for relics. So... but what I want to see here is if aristocrats with the Mongols here has gone into... a stable yet for husbandry and bloodlines for the Mangodai, but it doesn't look like it. Managed to trap a scout inside here somewhere as well, it seems. And whatever was over here was addressed by the Mongols player here. Still 2 CCs for most of them here. 3rd TC going up for Flying Mouse. No, 2nd TC, sorry. His slabs was laid up. 3 TC for the Khmer. Full boom mode here for both teams, and we see they're pretty consistent in the numbers as well. Pretty impressive for Ragnarok here to keep up with one player being much later to the Castle Age. Just a moment for the scoreboard update here. So we're back into it. Want to get the score and team names up as well, so as to avoid confusion. We're at Archers, Huskarls, and nothing on the left hand side, whereas Ragnarok, damn it! Ragnarok are on the right hand side here. So we're gonna see Booming Simulator for a while yet. The Huskarls that Lite Corvo made to fend off the scouts, and for later offenses here, they are on the move, looking for a point of entry. Man-at-Arms of Flying Mouse, I don't even know why he made them. He's probably thinking about the champions later to contest or withstand the Ghost spam, but Lite Corvo now is the one going for the annoyance here, trying to break through the stone gate on this side. And for some reason we already have a trade card out for Waffles here, wants to get that trade running early apparently. Has to be a miskick, of course, but it's going to provide a steady little trickle of gold for Waffles here after all. What's the situation on Druz's side? Fourth TC coming up for cheap here. Scores pretty even. Middle two numbers pretty even as well. And Sarabe is going into a solid 4 TC boom with Franks here as well. Total TC count overall higher for Druz Lite here, 12 TCs against the 9 of the opposing team. Imperial H, however, on the way for Khmer here, and that could pose some issues. That means that Khmer could drop forward castles and start trebbing enemy structures and units, make openings, and make life awkward for Drushina on the other side. So Mayoda looking for exposed eco to raid here. Aren't gonna find too much. Maybe this woodline over here. Our castle going up here as well. On this side, I think they're flaring it to show that they want to secure this hill. And this is already good map control being assumed by Ragnarok here. Going to get that earlier in village as well with 82 pop currently for Aristocats. Druz Lite with Rabbe also the way up here actually. And Imperial H commenced with that 4 TC boom. Means that Knights could become Cavalier and Paladin soon enough for the Franks player here. Stone walls going up as well. So castle and stone walls, they're placing them in these positions of Lombardia to make sure they can contest the whole, or secure the whole corners of the map here. You'll need trade long term to sustain your gold heavy units in team games. So if you put markets in each corner of the map, like the Ragnarok are doing here now, you can start producing trade cards, and with the stone walls it's going to be all that much harder for the opposing team to raid you as well. Flare in the middle, I think they want to gather up or secure some map control over here as well. Druz Lite showing no sign of expansion toward the edge or securing trade routes just yet. So Ragnarok seem to be one step ahead here, want to secure that trade route early to make sure that they can secure that long-term gold. Mangala numbers growing dangerous, or about to, only 16 for now, but once we get to the full upgrades and elite Mangadai, they can contest almost any unit. Relics being collected as well. Let's have a look at those stats. That's going to be the third relic for Aristocats here, so that's some welcome extra gold out of the blue as well. Elite battle elephants for Aristocats. That's going to be the meat shield for the Mangudai to work together and maybe breach the walls of the opponent. This looks like a nice weak spot to address already with Mangudai and elephants here, but I'm guessing Ragnarok want to establish some side base forward here to have reinforcements closer and take so even more map control in the middle here. Flying was providing long swords here as the stab, so he's going to play the infantry siege card here, so already we have even a potential counter to enemy pikemen and halberdiers here. Lite Corbo though, the Golfs player now in the Imperial Age, he could drop some barracks now, go into halberdier and start helping to contest the elite battle elephants on the move here. Rabbe with the cavalier as well, will it be enough though? Good hill advantage for Ragnarok here. Some halberdiers meddle in from Lite Corbo, but I don't think it's going to be enough here with the Mangudai in the behind to Contest these long swords going close as well for the melee advantage here. Jeep, and understandably so, cancels the castle here. This is now a hill very close to the enemy base being held by Ragnarok here, and if they send some villagers forward, they could even castle this hill and fortify their position forward with the current numbers looking pretty nice. 86 to 62 military. Perfusion on the way for Lite though. This is going to give him 100% faster working barracks as Goths. Rabbe with sort of a cleanup here with Cavaliers as well, and now it's Druz Lite with control over the hill for now. They will be needing something more from Flying Mouse, maybe to provide more melee units here to contest the Goths' spam of Halberdiers. So it's nice for Ragnarok to have strong infantry civ like Slabs on the team though, because one of the more viable counters to Goths' insane Imperial Age infantry spam is to go for champions for the other team. Look at the forward position here though, more barracks going up now I believe for Flying Mouse, just with one or a few play villagers forward, dropping 2 castles on the hill here as well. And Druz have never been able to as much as to touch the enemy side here now. They're booming like crazy, they are 14 TCs now against 10 of the opponents, but Ragnarok are able to pull back towards the hill here, and even with Frank's Paladin on the field here, if the castles go up, then Ragnarok will have a wonderful position to fall back to for defensive purposes here. Rattan Archers meddling in though, they are going to help out quite a bit here. I believe they are elite by now as well. Should be working as a decent counter to the Mongols Mangudai here. Both castles go up, and Ragnarok have a fantastic spot to start pushing with siege or whatnot here to break into the enemy base and get raids going. They should be about to start trade as well. It's closing in on 40 minutes, and all the players are in the Imperial Age by now. So at some point, when as the gold spots are about to run out, you need to transition into trade while you still have gold to invest into those trade units. Paper money from Cheap here to assist his teammates. Now let's have a look at the resources here. Once that's completed, there 500 gold and some extra resources for all of the players. Watch south corner, left or right? There were some sneak stables going up here for aristocrats as well, apparently. And also obstructing the potential of a trade route here for Druz Lite. Goth spam will help out a lot against the elephant play of aristocrats here, though it's quite a significant number of halberdiers. Yeah, that's true. We have some trade going for Drushina as well, but they only have the short route for now. Ideally, they would expand all the way to the corner, but they don't really have any walls to make a safe route, and aristocrats already taking control of the corner here to make sure that the Druz Lite don't have an easy way to get into a very efficient trade route. Goth barracks coming up here though, so maybe Lite Corvos Goth spam can save Druz Lite here against the offensive of Ragnarok here. Castles going up as well, so from Rabbe with the cheaper Frank's castles, so map control being taken by Druzina here as well at the 40-minute mark. Aristocrat constantly needs to pull back towards the castle and Maganai again to make sure not to waste elephants needlessly to Goths. Constant halberdier spammer. Infantry is cheaper for Goths as well, so even the halberdiers are slightly cheaper for Goths. value of the units is better for Ragnarok here, at least for cheap and Aristocrat, pretty much the same. Yeah, it looks like both teams are doing decent trades here. Halberdiers in the long run are going to conserve quite a bit of gold for Lite Corbo to go and get into whatever other units he will need though. Huskars aren't really a play here with slabs in the mix here, because slabs champions will just slay them with Druzina is in. And looks like Druzina is on the way for flying wounds here now. Going to set up for some slabs infantry power here. Fortified wall on the trade line side of Ragnarok here now, and not really any weak spot, not many weak spots here for Druz Lite to exploit to get through. Maybe there might be an opening here. I mean, at some point they're gonna need to get some raids in, most likely from Rabbe from the pocket position to send in some paladins or even light cav to raid. This one here seems to be a bit of danger for Ragnarok though, and Jeep has made a transition or an addition of elite battle elephants as well. The Vietnamese have access to those. They are have a lower damage output than the Khmer elite battle elephants, so for full damage output for the Khmer elite battle elephants, so aristocrats will need to go into the unique technology as well. Bombard cannons from the Vietnamese player to push back some more of the buildings and units here, like Corbo with the ridiculous amounts of halberdiers here, conserving gold for the long run here. Look at like Corbo's gold count here. So even if they don't have too much trade running just yet, Lite Corbo is doing good, keeping his gold spendings low here for the long game. Rabbe, assuming some position forward as well, has some semi-forward castles here, so he's thinking about breaking through the fortified walls here, taking out the castle to try and get some raids in the north here. Aristocats is persistent with the battle elephant idea though. He probably knows that even if the Vietnamese player goes into battle elephants, he will have stronger ones with more attack. Frank's paladins doing work against the Mangodai here now actually. And some movement here, some hussars maybe looking for an overchop.
Hey, sir.
Oh, how will Lite Corbo react to this? Will he see this movement on the minimap? Yes, he does. So good minimap awareness of Lite Corbo there to plug that overchop just in time. As the Hussars looks for more overchops here, but won't quite succeed just yet. No burger holes for Buffles 3 here. This castle will actually go down to halberdiers only poking away here. Some traps pushing in the north here as well. That's a notable amount of paladins from Rabbe as well. One Mangadai won't really do too much here. Is probably running to meet up with his friends. And the castle goes down just like that for Waffles. He leaves and opening here for Rabbe to break through the fortified wall here and run in for some paladin raids. Castle in the south corner as well for Aristocats though. That's being addressed to some extent by Sheep here now, but it's still going to be frustrating for Druz Lite here to not be able to use the full edges of the map for the trade route. They are slowly but steadily securing the areas here, but I don't see a ram, but something is hitting away at the castle here. So that's gonna go down actually for cheap, and he just bails on that one. But right now, Druz Lite are doing a pretty darn good push here on this side. They are taking down castles. They've broken through here with paladins in the trade line, resulting in Buffalo 3 having to pull back all of the, or not all, but most of the Mangudai to clean up the paladins and take out the trade route of Ragnarok here. And this could actually be a crucial moment in the game. I mean, there's still gold access for Druz Lite here, there's still for Ragnarok as well, but if Ragnarok lose all of their trade eco to these raids here, that's going to be very good for Druz Lite here to further sustain the production. Now there's an overchop though, and Aristocrats is able to raid Lite Corbo's trade as well. Quick House goes up to keep the worst out here, and Rabbe with the Franks Paladins will hopefully clean up the rest here. Some Hussars have been able to enter the trade route from other sides as well. There's an opening between the houses here from cheap, so that's where the stable spam from the south corner is running in. Chief is on duty here to stop these raids from happening though, and has some units out of his own here to take out the enemy buildings here. North side looks rough for Ragnarok though. Goth spam is real over here. Light cab from Rabbe though. He's struggling for gold, a little bit maybe. But could also be for speed and efficiency with the light cab here to raid. Aristocrats with the battle elephants here, Goth spam with the units, still green raiding away in Druz Lite's trade route here as well. Seems to be affecting their gold situation a little bit actually, whereas Ragnarok are full on defensive in their own trade here, but Rabbe keeps consistent flow of units to come in before Ragnarok have any chance whatsoever to plug the gap here. So Chief's done a good job of cleaning up in the corner here, has control of most of it. Still some forward builders alive for Aristocrats though, but the threat is less so here right now. Hussars yet again trying to enter the trade out here. Still a couple of Hussars alive here, but now Lite Corbo might task some Halberdiers to deal with whatever is left here to raid for them. And see all the yellow trickles here is still keeping the Mangudai at home for Ruffles 3 here. Infantry units of Lite Corbo meanwhile taking out the actual markets here, resulting in that Ragnarok might need to shorten down their trade route and try and re-secure it further down here for more consistent gold income here overall. More Khmer farms out of the blue for Aristocrats there. Wants to put villagers back into work ASAP here. So both Goth spam and Frank's Paladin spam here, Vietnamese bombard cannons and elephants riding in as well. Druz Lite will try to reclaim the corner here as well. They will be dependent upon gold long term, but they have the short trade route still up and running, bringing in at least a little bit of gold here, as the gold situation could become worse for Ragnarok quite soon here. Siege workshops in the corner for Aristocrats is going to transition into Scorpions here now, or Onagers. Seems like Ragnarok have been able to hold off the offensive of the trade. Still has two markets alive here, still in two markets standing, so they might very well be able to re-secure the trade here now if they can do okay. The Imperial Skirmisher for Rabbe. He wants to go for that. Frank's Imperial Skirmishers against Well, what would that be though? Going to the trash against the Mangudai here from the hill. Maybe not the worst call ever. We see as the buildings complete, they just simply disappear from here. So that's a funny late game bug for capture age here. Castle down on the hill for Ragnarok. Will the Imperial Skirmishers and throwing some throwing axemen as well? No, only Imperial Skirmishers. Seems. Will it be enough to fend off the elite Mangudai here though? Doesn't look too pretty right now. Still some raids going on in the south as well, and no full trade line secured for Druz Lite just yet. Army numbers though, Ragnarok both keeping consistently high numbers here. Ragnarok with 50 villagers more. That's kind of both good and bad considering, because you have less space for military but more equal to sustain your production long term. Lite combo with a classic Goths KD here with few kills and many losses here as you just flood in units without thinking about it twice here. Waffles with good position with the elite Mangudai on the top here though, and keeps the hill now to keep the aggression out with the pretty impressive masses of elite Mangudai here. Starts to move forward yet again here. Siege workshop forward as well. The Goths military trickle is at large still, but they have a long way to go. Stonewall's not up yet, so Aristocats with some raiding potential here with the Hussars. Will take the builders, will make sure the walls can't go up here, and it's still wide open over here, so steady flow of Hussars now could yet again stop Druzhina off an efficient trade route here. So we're past the 1 hour mark. We have pretty ridiculous KD here for Waffle 3 with the Mongols, actually 675 to 179. Cattle going up on the hill, playing Mangudai like a champ here. Does have 57 elite Mangudai and some siege on the field. We might be seeing drill siege ram from the Mongols player here now. Not so many elite battle elephants for Aristocrats, but rather going into the Hussar spam now, which is also a good call if you can get into the enemy trade route. Druz Lite struggling hard to get those walls up here. Did take some losses as well. Rabbe is down to 97 villagers. So what's going on for Rabbe? He must have been seriously raided here and there. It's struggling for wood as well. The woodlines are going scarce on Druz Lite's side. I assume both sides really. So this might be one of those games that comes down to wood control eventually. Those elite Mangudai numbers though, and now accompanied by Druzhina champions and halberdiers here from Flying Mouse. If Flying Mouse can provide enough units, it's going to limit Goth spam quite a bit. Also with Drill Siege Ram in the mix from the Mongols player, you can take out the Mongols barracks and their potential to spam units will be very much crippled, you could say. Hussar raids on Rabbe's woodlands here, losing even more villagers. Still has a decent army, but it's mainly Imperial Skirmishers and Light Cav now, whereas Ragnarok are still able to produce gold units here. And the lag is real, but that's what tends to happen in the late game Age of Empires, unfortunately. It's an old game. Mongols should be able to deal with the halberdiers here, whereas the Hussars should be able to deal to great lengths to the Imperial Skirmishers here. This is definitely a fight for Ragnarok to take, and it's looking pretty good for them now. Maybe it won't revenge or if this is the second game, not revenge, but maybe want to go for a 1-1 here against Druz Lite. Map control is split in half. There are still some woodlands left to take, and this game might come down to a little bit of wood control as well, or wood access, because if you don't have access to wood, eventually your farms will not be able to be refreshed. Let's have a look at the Mongols KD here again. It's 865 to 193. Elite Mangala is just crazy in this matchup against Goths. Spam here with some elite battle elephants in front and some Hussars to take the attention here, while Trebs from Waffles on the hill here is starting to contest the buildings. Rabbe is still trying to get into more ranges to produce Imperial Skirmishers here and contribute to the greater good, but the overall population doesn't look too convincing for Rabbe here, at least. He's down to 70 something, but his two teammates are pop capped, that helps out a lot. Overall population though, slightly higher for Ragnarok, 561 to 510. And it comes down to having an answer to Elite Mangudai here, honestly. And forward castle attempted by Waffles here, almost get poked down by the Halberdiers, but once Waffles can get some villagers over here, we'll have a forward castle for Ragnarok on the left side here as well. There is some presence by Ragnarok in the south here as well. Sounds like we have some siege rams hitting somewhere here. And Druz Lite again extending their short trade route, but some gold access is better than no gold access. Looking at the gold situation though, it's much more gold overall for Ragnarok here. Vietnamese battle elephants doing work here, even against the Stab's trickle of infantry here. But Khmer now with the unique tech has +7, so 5 more attack than the otherwise pretty similar Vietnamese battle elephants here. Lots of stables going up for the Mongols player here now, wants to get some Hussar spam into the enemy trade lines. Let's see if there's an opening here. Yeah, this side is still wide open, so once these stables go up and Waffle is able to run in and raid, unless this gets plugged somehow by Druz Lite, they're going to lose their short trade route as well and struggle even more for gold. Situation seems decent for the time being though, but their gold access is still lower than what is the case for Ragnarok in the north side, still trading all the way towards it, having never quite lost it. I think the KD should have passed over 1000 for Waffles here now, so 1000 to 200. Pretty decent ratio here, we could see at the value here as well, 15k against 40k. Not too dissimilar actually, because the Druz Lite are going mainly trash here, so they are losing less valuable resources for every hit. Thesis of course going idle now, and eco to some extent as well. Cheap seems to have the highest idle eco here. But not too significant for late game stats, to put it that way. Both teams still with castle, siege, workshop, stables, so 42 stables total for Ragnarok here. Going to take down trades on this side. Castle seems to be a goner here for I think that was one of the Rabbe's castles, and it's still wide open here, so just get the raids in and raid like crazy. Woodland depleted here for Light Corvo as well. Not too many places left to go. This is very exposed wood economy for cheap, for example, so in the long run might be struggling for wood for Archer's production, honestly. I feel like Ragnarok is getting a great push in here now. Rabbe is somehow back on Paladin here, so either he got slung gold or he stabilized his gold income somehow. There's still lots of eco to be raided here, and most significantly the trade card, so bringing 43 gold per trip as opposed to the 110 of Ragnaroks. So with these raids, this could be the game-ending move for Ragnarok here, unless Rabbe is somehow able to clean up here. Halberdiers of Lite will certainly help out as well, but global population is now 150 almost ahead for Ragnarok here, and they're keeping themselves constantly close to that pop cap. Doesn't help all that much to have a Govs player with plus 10 extra population then in the mix. This is looking very good for Ragnarok, and look at all the production capabilities they have while having... well, there appears to be some invisible siege rams at work here, because I hear the rams battering away, and elephants hitting invisible buildings as well, but yeah, we can't quite follow that with Capture H, it seems. Rabbe cleaning up the raids here to some extent. Here comes some elephants even to raid. And it's the refuge here for Lite Corvo, desperate for some wood access here. And but all in all, 400 something population against an almost popcat team. This is tough to hold off for Druz Lite here, with Mangadai joining the party as well now to come in and raid and finish the trade routes overall here. So I hear siege rams, but I don't see them. Well, it should mean that buildings are going down left and right for Druz Lite here. Oh, that's a pretty costly sling as well, sending food to Rabbe here so he could keep making those paladins. Will paladins be enough here though? It should be able to clean up the hussars, obviously. But yeah, looking yet again at the populations here, more than 100 lead for Ragnarok here. Druz Lite with pretty decent armies, honestly, with Sheep still having some serious presence somewhere, trying to again free up the corner for a complete trade out here for Druz Lite. But GG well played is called. It's going to be Ragnarok's game after a very solid, consistent push and almost never letting the enemy inside their own trade route over here. So let's give them the tap for a 1-1 here. And we'll go over to Age of Empires 2 game again to see the final stats, which should be pretty cool for this one. So Druz Lite Ragnarok here, we see where he ends up, and we'll see if I can find those siege ramps that I heard. That is indeed a blue one, so slab siege ramps. I was expecting Mongol drills siege ramps here, but why not have slab provide them? Crazy game anyway, and see all of the map here. Seems like obviously Ragnarok with a massive map control in the end, but Druz Lite fighting to the bitter end. The set gate ends it at a 1-1. And now let's see for the stats. Some insane military scores here. Society score as well, with castles needed for Mangala numbers. 1364 to 394 KD for Weapon 3. Just absurd KD to see Flying Mouse not far behind with 1100 as well. And then there's a Lite Combo with that Goth spam, losing a whooping 1773 units. Largest army, almost like villager counts of your average game as well. And then Aristocrats with that Khmer food eco, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Let's have a look actually to see what kind of food eco Aristocrats had in the end here. 75 farmers, so you could spam hussars until the next century if you wanted to. Times 5 went for a little bit for the scouts for some early damage potential, so that early up really delayed their cast age, but didn't result in Ragnarok falling behind still. Relic Gold could have been of significance here as well, considering it's granted 6,300 gold almost to the Khmer player. And finally the timeline to show some epic battles along the way here with lots of army the whole way. GG, well played to both teams.